We as humans have urbanized the environment around us to make more space for ourselves. This is good for humans. However, this is harmful to all the animals in the environment. It is predicted by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Committee that by 2060, 7 million acres of land will be torn down and turned into rural living space for people. We always hear about how the Florida black bear and the Florida panther are being endangered, and most people focus on them. However, one animal in particular always gets overlooked because of how well it has adapted to the urban lifestyle, the raccoon. Next to humans, the second leading cause of death of raccoons is distemper. As humans encroach on the habitat of raccoons, the raccoons are forced to live with humans and come in contact with their pets. Raccoons are susceptible to infection by both canine and feline distemper. Although they both can cause acute illness and death, they are caused by two completely different viruses. The virus is widespread and mortality in juveniles is higher than in adults. One day, my Boy Scout troop was contacted by Mr. Don, who was looking for help with a gaze of raccoons he had been studying. Mr. Don is a certified naturalist educated in environmental studies, fine arts, and communications. He has a comprehensive knowledge of the environment and a passion for sharing the wonder of nature. I contacted him and asked him if there was any way for me to help. This is when we started brainstorming, and the idea for Castles for Coons was born. The gaze that Mr. Don was studying was wiped out by distemper. During the winter, the raccoons seek shelter near housing developments to shield themselves from the weather and to find a safe place to give birth and raise their young. However, this leads them to come in contact with humans and the viruses we carry. To prevent this, we decided to make nesting boxes using schematics I found online. I made the nesting boxes out of plywood, sanded it down to make the edges and inside smooth for the raccoons. I also added hinges in case we ever needed to check inside for any reason. This was the most challenging part of the project for me because I've never done a woodworking project before. The hinges were especially difficult to install because they were not on the original schematics. I had to innovate and figure out how to add them myself. The door also has to have a wall next to it because the raccoons will hide their young behind it. I created 3 finished nesting boxes. They were stuffed with hay for the raccoons to use as bedding, painted camouflage, and do not disturb signs were hung on them. Then we put one on the ground, one in a medium-sized tree, and one in a large tree for the raccoons to nest in. As you can see, the nesting boxes were a huge success. There was a total of 12 babies born. One has become quite tame and we have nicknamed him Curious George because he gets into everything. Due in part to the nesting boxes, Mr. Don says the population has increased 30% after the baby's incredibly high survival rate.